Second.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, before we continue, please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On to business tonight. We'll start with the consent agenda. It's a long list. Do I have a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda as they're presented? Second. All right, any questions on the consent agenda? It's A through D.
I just have one question. With the student activities and the parent handbook, do they have to turn in that signed page?
I'll defer to Mr.
Yes,
They do?
Yes.
Okay.
so parents has a parent signature
And the
a
student signature,
that
yeah, and they have to
sign.
turn that
They have
in?
to turn in the coaches and the coach turn.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Items to be pulled or concerns with agenda items this evening? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval? None opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll then turn to some reports. Turn it over to Dr. Isaacson for the superintendent's reports.
All right, a couple of things this month. We wrap up summer school tomorrow, and so want to thank our summer school staff and administrators and bus drivers and everyone who's worked through that. It's gone extremely well, and the kids have had a good time, and it appears to be very well attended. And thankful for those summer school teachers and staff can now start their summers, and so it feels like summer's already rolling along pretty good, but it's been a great summer school. Wanted to mention congratulations to our Board of Education on being awarded the 2025 Governance Team Award. Mr. Lindhorst went up and got the plaque at the MSBA Summer Summit here, and so it's the award recognizes your exceptional leadership, commitment to effective governance, continuous professional learning, and strong legislative advocacy. And so it's a well-deserved honor, and we look forward to working towards it again and checking those things off as you continue to be leaders in governance in the state of Missouri.
That's a repeat. That's 2 in a row.
Yes, 2 in a row. Some legislative and policy updates. I put within the report Senate Bill 3, the property tax credit. I think we'll hear more about this statewide at the Ed Plus board meeting today. They updated on that. I do think there'll be some court challenges, and as it impacts this here has been a unifying thing as far as not only the political subdivisions, but even in St. Louis County, who has a 0% change to theirs, people on the eastern side of the state are going to end up paying for that stadium. And so it'll be interesting as this goes, where we've kind of talked about it at our last meeting when we were doing the budget, a 0% increase, and so all the taxpayers would have their assessed valuation stay the same as 2024. Sounds good on the surface, but it truly, the macroeconomics of it is economic devastation in Jefferson County and to our school district and to, it's not even the government entities. And I talked about this, and I'll say it again as on camera, is the macroeconomics of our assessments being frozen, and they're already below market value significantly in our community, is what's going to occur is the tax rates are going to go up. Unless we say we don't want a fire department, we don't want quality schools and such, which is then to decline the home values, is ultimately people will pass tax levies. And what we're looking at is a community, not just Hillsboro, Jefferson County, with high tax levies. Overall, we're maybe now in the Hillsboro, like right around here, it's like $6.93 when you add Hillsboro's, the libraries, and all those together. I could foresee, if it was constitutional, a situation where it's like $8, $9, $10. And you get those tax savings as long as you don't leave your house. But new homes, anytime there's a transaction, it would move to that current value. And commercial doesn't apply to them. So commercial properties would see their taxes rise significantly. That's gonna completely halt economic growth in Jefferson County and impact home prices. Even if you try to sell your home, it would be cheaper to buy it in other places. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts. Will it impact Hillsboro if it is deemed constitutional, we have to put on the ballot? Sure, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes down through as we work through that. But that's just the impact, and the impact on not just schools, but our construction workers and those that do projects. There's a huge economic, because that will tap the brakes, you know, and there's a lot of construction that goes on in the summer with prevailing wage, sheet metal workers. You know, I went through the high school, SMCI was down there. There's not that work for those people that live in the community that are working on Hillsboro High School doing our HVAC because it's not affordable or we're able to pay for it. And so the trickle down actually impacts people in their homes, not just a school district. It's a huge economic issue that I've visited at length about with our legislatures and continue to do so as recently as this afternoon. So put some other information in there about legislation that was passed earlier this spring as we kind of finalized. That all hasn't been signed by the governor yet. I assume that will be by the middle of next week. And then in a couple weeks, on the 8th, I'll be out of town. I'm headed to Washington with, again, some superintendents were selected. We will be going to Capitol Hill. I'll be meeting with the Missouri delegation. I know that I got an email today, meeting with Senator Hawley, and there's 3 or 4 that have been confirmed. So we'll be spending time there focusing on the arbitrage issue and some other federal funding issues, and just talking about how those decisions there are impacting Hillsboro, Missouri, and Liberty, Missouri, Lee Summit, and so we have kind of a blend of small, large, and rural schools, and we'll spend a couple days on Capitol Hill just talking about that. So I'll be taking our nest and talking about Hillsboro, and it's fun when they go back because they've heard about the farm, they know about our community, and so we have some new congressmen up there from the previous year. There has been some turnover, so I enjoy that. It's kind of very educational for me, but also it's pretty impactful, and us being there, having those conversations to make those connections. So looking forward to that. I'll be there the week of the 8th through the 11th. Actually, I'll be back in the office on the 11th, fly back on the 10th. And included some information at the bottom with the superintendent goals as to kind of the past month of what we've been working on. Not a whole lot of early childhood items, so you can just keep on to that, and then we'll kind of button that up next month or at the August meeting.
All right. Okay. All right. Any questions? Good. Turn it back over to you for the.
All right. In the finance report we have the May summary. Mr. Moore, are you able to maybe put that up, and then this ties into the budget document, but this is where we are through May. Let's see here, I'll close, minimize this. Is there a presentation one in there, potentially? Another document? I think I put both in there. I just delete my presentation summary. If you go back to the main Assembly document. I think I have it embedded
Oh,
in
yeah.
the,
Says you need
I see it.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I'll request access.
you know what, in the interest of, I can just run us through this one, is, if you,
Sorry.
overall, revenue collections remain strong, closing at 95.6% of the budget. Expenditures have reached 86%, which includes some of, we had the February budget adjustment, so that's reflected in those numbers. And so we still have June, which is going to be, you know, the teachers' checks and the last finishing out the fiscal year. But through May 31st, we're at 86.5% on the expenditure side. Our preliminary budget was to be 13.9. Our net position to change. We had talked about that on the deficit spending. That is our debt paid off, you know, through the debt service and capital, as we'll see reflected even as we go into this year's budget. So moving on down, on the revenue breakdown, I do think that this is important to point out is, I'm gonna go, you can scroll down a little bit further there, Aaron, to the last year's.
The next one.
I guess I should get ahead of you. There we go. As you can see, our local revenue is down. And so that's when we talk about the assessments and the value. That economic indicator shows that the Hillsboro School District economically is falling behind or actually having less growth. Home values are decreasing because that's what that the rollback look. And when you kind of look at how are we getting less local revenue when real estate prices historically have been going up from 23 to 24. It kind of leveled out. But when you look at what we project into the future, taking that in, and so 22,443,000 is actually less than it was in fiscal year 23, which would have been the 22-23 school year. So following those trends, as far as revenue coming in, county revenue, also in part, to be fair, that's also, we've been decreasing our tax levy. So that's going to, a combination of that is bringing in the total dollars. County revenue kind of held the same. State revenue has went up significantly with the SAT going up. Federal revenue as ESSER funds have gone down, went down significantly. And then on the other revenue, see that kind of bounces around from year over year. The 289 is from the sale of 5 Ridgewood and then tuition. So just putting that on there for the board to look. I was visiting with Ms. White about this, is year over year having that historical data also helps during the budget planning, because you're like, that's a lot. Why are we $10 million off? Or paying attention to that. So overall, things are going, if you continue scrolling down through that kind of expenditure by fund classifications, so we break it down. As you can see, debt service, I do want to point that out, is in fiscal year 23, we spent $805,000 out of that fund. Last year, $4 million. This year, 13.2 million. So you're like, well, wow, why did that spending go up 193%? Is next year, in May, that's going to look like it went down 200%, because our budget is right around 3 million. And I'll talk about this in the budget, but I like saying it over and over again. It's, in 2019, the district bond debt, general obligation bond debt was $27 million. Currently, as we end this fiscal year, it's at 3.3. And at the end of next year, it'll be $1.5 million. And that's a thank you to the board and the work that we've done strategically is that's saving interest in building room. And that's why as we kind of wind down, the tax levy will be going down another 20 cents in Hillsboro. And, but it's something we're always paying attention to. So that's why that number, that was a check that was sent to prepay our debt that we currently had in our debt service account. Moving on down is a year-over-year breakdown between elementary instruction. That's K-6, not the elementary building. You know, the middle school include the junior high, high school, sped, transportation. So you see the year-over-year variances going back a couple of years. And then of the things there you can kind of note this year, elementary, hold up, Aaron, you go, is typically things went up between 10 to, 14%, 18% in sped. Executive administration is actually down 16%. Spent $198,000 on executive administration. This year is continually went down since fiscal year 23 on that. So principal interest payments, you see that that's aligned with that debt service there earlier. So, all right. And then you go down just to the end of the year. I explained kind of the function items there. Our net position, one of our strategic plan goals is to be within 5% of the number that the board approves for the budget. So as Ms. White has worked on the budget and we did the budget amendments, in the strategic plan, as you can see, 2 years ago at this report at the May meeting, pulled that from 2 years ago, we had spent 80% of the budget. Last year we were at 82.4. As of that point, we're at 86.54 this past year. So hopefully we get to that, within that 5 year end, where we spent 95% of the money. Not that we're trying to spend the money, but that means we were on target of projecting what we were going to spend. That allows us to make solid financial decisions. And so summary year-end spending outlook, and obviously this is using the information through May, and we only got a couple of days left in the year. But that's where we were at for each one. So special revenue is at 77%, may increase due with the summer payroll, but we expect it to remain in the limits. Capital funds could go over a little bit depending on when we get the bills. If a bill came prior to that. And so that's kind of brings us up through May. That was the information as they reconcile everything. That leads us into the budget presentation this evening, and that's why I went a little bit deeper into that. So a great year, great work by Ms. White and Dr. McKean and all those that got the numbers and work each day to try to lock all that down.
All right, any questions? So we've been transitioning, this is something that just jumped off the page at me here. We've been transitioning between the board docs to the assembly platform. So the agenda item that we have in here that's in our agenda tonight is to take action on this report. So I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the presentation this evening as it's been presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Okay, all those in favor of acceptance of the report as presented? None opposed. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, any items of public comment tonight? Okay, move right into some new business. All right, first item of new business tonight is the approval of the 25-26 School Resource Officer Agreement. Do I have a motion to approve the SRO agreement, the cooperation between the district and the Hillsboro Police Department as it's presented?
Motion. Second.
Okay, do we have a short presentation?
Yeah, I just want to
New officer?
introduce, there he is, Sergeant Tufts, and he oversees the SRO program here at Hillsboro. We work with him 2 or 3 times, well, actually more than that, just on planning and making sure we're visible and some of the strategic stuff with our SROs. So he's going to introduce, we have a couple here tonight, and he's going to introduce them.
Just for those of you that don't know, the current SRO that's been here for a while, Dean Rogers, Officer Rogers, he's been here 3 years, 4 years now? 3 years, right?
This next school year, we got four
Okay.
year.
Going into his 4th year. We had an officer here by the name of Shelby Cornett. She'd been here for a couple of years. She's gone back to regular police duties, and we got real fortunate. And just a couple months ago, we had an applicant present herself to us, Jessica White,
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
with a background in social work and law enforcement out of Cape.
Yeah, I worked on the on-campus police department down in Seaman.
So she had a very large interest in becoming an SRO, a little different than normal. Normally, we put a person on the road for a while, teach them a little more about policing in the public. She had the background, we decided to make the switch and bring her in here. Fortunately, we were able to bring her in for the summer school, which gave her a little bit lower key view of Hillsboro School District. Keeping in mind that this is a city within a city. You guys really are a city within a city, and we view it that way. The police department, we're excited. We're having much more, I believe, much more interaction with the school, with the administration. It's my pleasure to supervise this program, but Jessica is going to be a great addition. So far, seems to very much be enjoying the relationships here. I don't have anything else really, unless you've got questions of Jessica, probably not of me.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah,
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, guys.
All right. Before we move on, we'd like to approve the SRO agreement. All those in favor of approval this evening? Yes, ma'am. All right. None opposed, thank you. Motion carries.
You're going to separate.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank forward to having you this year. All right, our next item of business is the K-12 safety subscription agreement with MSBA. Do I have a motion to approve the K-12 safety subscription agreement as it's presented?
Motion.
Any questions on this agreement? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval? And none opposed? Motion carries. We have some board minutes to approve, June 12th. Do I have a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes from the June 12th meeting as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any questions, comments, updates, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. We do have one bill for payment separated from consent agenda to Jefferson College. Do I have a motion to approve Jefferson College bill in the amount of $2,250?
Motion. Second.
Any questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approval? Any opposed? And one abstention? Motion carries. All right, then on to some budget-related items. Do I have a motion to authorize the Director of Finance to proceed with making our annual adjustment entries and transfers as needed in regards to end-of-year budget?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or additional information to share? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval? None opposed? Motion carries. And on to our fiscal year 26 budget. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025-26 annual budget as it is presented?
Motion. Second.
Questions on the budget? We had a work session read of the budget a few weeks ago. Any questions from them? Anything that's come up? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the 26 budget? Unopposed. Motion carries. We do have some policy items. These are first read items, 2025 A and B, just informational for this month's meeting. Are there any questions on this read? These will come back next month for approval. So if there's any questions or comments, be sure to share with Ms. Noack.
I have a not necessarily about this, but I knew that the legislators passed the no cell phone use, and I was kind of expecting to see that. Do you know where that stands?
MSBA is not finished with that policy.
Okay, that's what okay,
Our policy that we currently have in place will cover us until they come.
until they come, okay.
Other questions? Okay, we'll see this again next month for approval. Last item tonight is with regard to the Board of Education calendar. Any updates to share from an informational perspective?
Our next board meeting will be July 24th. And I plan to have the photographer there so we can get group photos and individual photos. I'm planning for the next school year and pushing things out. So I'm going to have them and also visiting with the administrators on that. I think I put on there that we'll start at like 5:30, but I may even push it back to 6. July doesn't have necessarily a long executive, and so maybe the board could probably will do 6. Is we'll go from executive from 6 to 6:30, do the photos, and if there was business that we had to come back afterwards, but that way the photographer doesn't have to be here as long, and the administrators don't have to be here that so much earlier. And I did put on the October 23rd in red. That is MSBA's annual conference. Put it in red because we kind of discussed, do we need to move the meeting, or some of the board members, if you were going over Thursday, could Zoom into the meeting. I visited with Mr. Lindhorst. I don't mind staying back, and he had talked about staying back to like run the meeting, but I think we could still make it work, even if some Zoom, or went to MSBA on that Friday, et cetera. Thoughts on that?
I think that we looked at the 26 Governance Award as well. So attendance at a number of events is required, but attendance at this particular convention is not. It's not. It's
The annual conference?
the annual conference is not the regional meeting. It has to be
Yes.
across a portfolio of meetings, at least one of those. So it's not a requirement that we have someone in attendance there, but
Because we've already met at the Summer Summit, that's what, because we did Summer Summit and we had a quorum of the board and myself, we meet, from a governance award standpoint, that's been met.
so my thought was that I would stay here, and if anyone wanted to attend, we'd have some in person.
I would
Meeting
be
ma'am.
sure, because I couldn't make the October one. We'll be leaving for another cruise.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody's gotta do it, you
She's
know?
got to use that vacuum system. She's got.
So I guess is the board okay with leaving it on that date and then work the MSBA comments? Okay.
All right, and we did find out, I put it on my calendar, but we do have the MSBA regional meeting in I think it's the early part of September. Not sure
September
what it is.
3rd, I want to say.
Yeah, it
Is that
is.
first? Yeah.
September 3rd.
Any other questions? Okay, that brings us to the end of our business tonight, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn here at 7:30 on the dot.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning tonight?